Hello, everyone. Derek Floyd here, Beautiful Now Podcast. Welcome to another edition of Chasing the Impossible. This is the segment where I interview special guests who happen to have accomplished impossible things along the way to let you know how big your dream can be or how impossible it may seem on your side. If they can accomplish their impossible, guess what? You can accomplish yours too. And if you enjoy this kind of content that you see here, do me a favor, stop, pause right now, hold on, and hit me with a like or subscribe to the channel. This lets me get the most updated content to you as soon as it's available. And most importantly, if you really enjoy this positive content, share it with a friend, because I want to make sure everybody leaves uplifted, encouraged, and inspired. Now today, I've got a really special guest that's been a dear friend of mine for a long time. And if I can say it this way, he's a legend. I can say legend, but he's a legend in the gospel music industry. He has won every award, written multiple hits, and he's blessed so many people along the way. And this man's heart is so humble. I mean, if you say this is how he started out, this guy, if you know this guy, he's been around for a long time, and he's actually put together and put out so many different things. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to put together a choir, and now he put together this amazing choir that sings along with him. And you probably know this face right here. Let me introduce my amazing friend, Mr. John P. Kee. Reverend John P. Kee, you there, sir?
I'm here, man. How about you? You
Man, I sure do appreciate you taking a few minutes to spend with us, man.
you're a different kind of guy. You're one of those genuine. When you call, who says no? You hear me?
Oh man, I sure do appreciate that, man. And I don't take the word legend, lightly. You have been a legend in this game, man. So appreciative that you just took a few minutes to share your time.
I love you, bro.
Oh man, love all the way back. And I tell people a lot of times when people share their time with you, that's sharing their goal. They're sharing their only source that they can't replenish. So to me, that's valuable. It's more than giving me money, because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time, right?
There you go.
So appreciate that. Appreciate that. So we've known each other for years, bro. It's been years.
It's been years, man. Yeah.
And we were just saying we got to catch up more. We got to do better about that.
Yeah, we got to do better. COVID is over. As far as we can at least go outside. So let's make it happen.
Right. But we both get so busy, but that's no excuse. We got to make time for each other, right?
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So with that thought in mind, I'm going to jump right into some of the questions, because I know you have been around for such a long time, and people want to hear your story. And I want to break down a couple things that maybe they don't know about you. And you told me to give you some questions that you wasn't ready for. So I think I got you today. You ready for that?
I'm ready to do this, man.
Okay. So I'm going to start right into it, man. You know, at 60 years old, or that's where you're roundabout where you are, and you're a little older than me. I'm 53 this year. Come on, whoop, whoop, 53. It may seem like you've done it already. Won all the awards, Grammys, the whole nine, Stellar Awards, everything. Written tons of hits, man, started a church, New Life Community Center. Come on. And you've accomplished so much. Would you say that you accomplished the mission that God set you out to do, or is there still work to be done? What do you think?
Absolutely, still work to be done. I've got this feeling of trying to retire at times and trying to walk away, but it's still vibrant. It's still genuine, and still unfeigned, if you would. Um, I, I'm excited about what he continues to do in the life of John P. Kee. So I'm excited about waking up every day and hearing the voice of the Lord and moving in that direction. And he given me the strength, the capabilities, the voice still sounds like it did when I was 19. I've had the same vocal doctor for years, and he checked my chords a couple of years ago, and he said, "This is unbelievable." So the instrument still works. So we're gonna
Praise
keep
God.
on doing.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And you touched on retirement, which was my next question. We should always so alike, man. I love it. Now, I know back in the scriptures, man, the Testament saints would work forever. Them dudes would be like 90 years old, still prophesying, still going out there doing their thing. But things are different now. And I hear you're still you're still out there on tour doing things like, you're still on tour, man, at 60 years old, getting out there and huffing it. I mean, it just blows my mind. Do you see yourself enjoying the fruit of your labor and just taking a minute anytime soon, or are you just going to keep doing it?
Let me address the fruit of labor. At this age, um, it's just not financial anymore. I'm very secure. I invested well. I invested in me well to see the turnover, if you would. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
good way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I think it's really the joy of, I would rather be on the bank fishing, but I figured that out. I'm working on a major project, literally flipping a house. I'm enjoying building furniture. I'm
Mm-hmm.
enjoying my painting again. My paintings are, that's what I wanted to send you. A few of them
Ah.
paintings are unique and still doing well. I haven't sold a lot of them. I sold maybe two, so that's my after life career, if you would, after life endeavor. But it's not pressured. I'm not pressured to do it. So I'm at
Mm.
peace and really understand that I believe God commanded some things of my hands
Yeah.
that I just have not perfected yet.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And when I think about the type of success that you've achieved over time, it's easy to get it all in your head and think it's about you. It's easy to do that. But it's also easy to take on all those haters, because there's haters out there that come along and try to tear you down and all that. How do you deal with the negativity of the haters out there? Because there's so many. There's so many.
I'm going to say something that's crazy, man. I don't know if people are scared of me or if I put it out there that I'm just not the one to bring that negative energy to. I don't get much. And then I
Hmm.
have such a strong walled, WALLED infrastructure that
Mm.
it stops at the gate. I thank God for Jeanette Taylor, my manager. I thank God for Sheila Lakin, my administrator, my wife, my kids, my family. At the end of the day, you can't really touch up on John P. Key. If they come at me on social media, I'm just not the one. I'm gonna tell you, back up. So I don't really deal with that. My sons cover me.
Mm.
I don't really deal with that a lot. I think when you allow that negative in, you'll become that. So you got
Yeah.
to keep that
Yeah.
away to keep these beautiful. Let me use your word. These beautiful, amazing things that God has placed on your path. You got to reach those, and so the negatives I don't deal with them much.
I love it. I love, and you almost have to put that barrier up, because the enemy is not going to stop trying to throw darts at you, man. That's his job. He's going to send whoever he can to kind of take you off base and make you feel like whatever. But you're saying, no, I got my village around me. I got my team around me. Guys, give me a hedge
Absolutely.
of protection that I'm not going to let this affect me. And that's really where it stands. I just love
Yeah,
that answer.
and remember, the scripture tells you to flee. Flee doesn't mean run
Mm.
in fear, but
Mhm,
flee to
mhm.
what God has commanded of your hand. Flee to
That's
what God's called you to do. So yeah, that works.
mm, mm, mm. So, as pastor of New Life, which is the church that God had you start, and as John P. Kee, the artist, which is a whole nother angle of who you are and what you do, can you explain a little bit how these two callings can have different responsibilities, and
Uh,
how do you manage all that at the same time? Because they're two different jobs, right?
Super question. Great, one of the greatest questions I think I've been asking in the interview. Um, um, Compartmentalize. I finally got a great definition for that word, and it's making personal parking spaces to deal with different things, if you would.
Hmm.
Um, the church I love, and really I had a succession plan that by now I should be, moving on past that. And I have a son who's in Tuscaloosa, one of my only plants as a church I've done in my preaching or teaching career, and I put it there for him to maintain the church until I was ready to stop. And I was going to bring him to Charlotte, but he's doing so amazing now. I can't touch that. So but I said all of that first to say I'm so comfortable there. If you have ever attended New Life or if you watch us online, we just started streaming not long ago on John P Kee official Facebook. Um, I'm comfortable there. I'm comfortable
Mm,
teaching. I'm comfortable reaching. I'm still feeding. We just fed hundreds yesterday. After I hang up tonight, we're going back at it again. This is a part of me that I think is just me.
mm,
Um,
mm,
being a father, a pastor, a family man, I, I actually answer that question by saying this. I don't wake up every morning to create a new profile to be John P. Kee.
mm,
I know who he is. He's my guy. And, as I leave the art for a couple of months, and now I'll go to music and I'll do music. And, it's just, I just love the way my life is on shelf. It's on
mm,
shelves. I
mm.
know which shelf to pull out today to make it work. I'm still working on the movie about my father. So,
Ah,
my production suite now is in my house. So
mm.
I'll know on Tuesdays is movie day. So I set it up pretty good. I set it up pretty good.
I love that you said I don't have to create a new profile every day because these youngins are trying to create this new thing on social media, yada yada, every day, trying to be something different. And you said this is what you get. This is John P. Key on Monday through Sunday. Now I
That's
might
it.
pull a different book off the shelf to get something done that day to
Right.
compartmentalize, but there's still the book of John P. Key. You're not gonna get any new chapters. It's just which one I'm pulling off today, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's a good way to stay sane and
Mm-hmm.
stay encouraged, if you would. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
I'm a I'm a I'm a reader, so I love to study. I have my evenings when I know I can go in my office and shut my curtain, and so I think I figured that part out, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
encourage everybody to do that.
Yeah,
Start,
yeah.
put it together where you not only understand you know what it takes to make you work and
Come
make
on
you
now.
positive, and make you strengthen and make you grow and make you mature. So
Mm.
yeah, that's it. That's the cute part of it.
I love it. And you said, I know what makes me me, and I know what helps me fuel that. I was interviewing another, I think it was Jamin Lewis, and we were talking about what people don't really know what they want. If you ask somebody, what do you want? They really couldn't answer because they don't take
Right.
the time to sit and think with themselves to figure out what is it they're trying to figure. Who do they really want to be?
Right.
They're all swayed by the media, by friends and family, and they don't know who the heck they want to be. But you said, "This is John Paquette. This is what you get. I'm settled here. I don't need to go
Yeah.
be somebody else. I'm good."
And it works for even my touring. I did 5 strong dates for
Mm,
Mother's Day, and I
mm-hmm.
was actually sitting on the tour bus with these thoughts, and I said, "Man, it's amazing how at 60, been in the business 43 years." That I can literally walk out on the stage and thousands of people are still buying tickets to hear, watch
Yeah, man.
this music that was recorded 37 years ago. And they're jumping up and they're
Come on
standing up,
now.
they're singing along. So,
Yes.
more than being high minded or haughty, I'm encouraged by it to say,
Mm-hmm.
Lord, you had to have a hand in this.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I'm tempted to skip to another question because it ties up to that, but I'm gonna wait and give because there's another one ties into the power of music. We're gonna come to it at the latter part of the thing. Um, as an elder statesman in the music industry, you are an elder statesman. You've been here, you've done it, you've watched people come and go, and you've seen more about the flash and the fame more than the flock. You've seen that kind of attitude come up, especially in the new gospel artists. You've seen a lot of these people come up and they're really just trying to take on this aura. I don't know if you want to call it. It's not just about the mission, it's about them in a certain way. What words of wisdom would you impart to those young cats to help them not lose focus on the real mission of Christ?
Great question. Another great question. I would tell them your relationship with God matters more than how good you look on stage.
Hmm.
We got to absolutely understand without commune with Him. I counseled some couples yesterday before they marry, and that's one of the things I emphasize. Communication matters, and I think
Mm,
a lot of the newbies, if you would, jump out just with the gift, but
mhm,
with no direct communication with the process, if you would. I still talk to him, man. I still commune with God. Here's a good nugget. I don't think I've ever said publicly. The ability to write a song is so easy for me. I
mm,
have to stay in touch with God because
mm,
I can just write, and what I write might not be what He wants me to say.
mm,
Oh,
mm,
it's,
mm.
I mean, you can give me a title and I can just spit it out. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So, with that being said, that's what I say to the new artists. Make sure you have a prayer life where you are communing with God
Mm,
about direction, because if not, you will set yourself up for failure. How many
yeah.
artists, some of the greatest artists that I love singing, hear sing, had one hit. This is in the
Mhm,
secular world. They had
mhm.
one hit, and we never heard of them anymore. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean they didn't record. I just think it has to be, and everybody, those that study the stars, say it has to line up with the stars. I'm gonna go further. It has to line up with God. It has to line up
Yes.
with what He's commanded your heart to do.
I love it. I think where we see sometimes is we see these. You said the gift comes up first, and they're counting on the gift, but not the giver of the gift.
There you go.
So they're
There you go.
counting on that gift. They get out and they make a hit. Who knows? They make a couple of hits, and they're out in the industry, and they're still singing about God, but there's a missing component where the mission is missing. And I know you've
I,
seen it. I know you've watched it.
right. I've had opportunity to sit on major stages and judge new singers and new artists, and I didn't bite the bait. And here's why: because what I judge as a great singer, my counterparts, or those that do what I do, might flunk them immediately.
Mm,
I judge a vocal more than the tone and the ability to do runs and riffs. Is, do I believe you? Let's go to
mhm,
Donny Hathaway.
mm.
Let's go to Stevie. Forget their vocal abilities. Donnie, you believed him.
Yeah,
You close your eyes and listen to Donnie sing. You believe that he believes everything he's saying.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I mean, you just and I've got gospel artists. And I don't want to start slinging names, but there are when Donnie McClurkin sings, not because he's my cousin, but when he sings, close your eyes. You'll
Yeah.
believe. You
Mm,
believe just Erica Campbell. I'm not just
mm,
out of the bushes. When
yeah.
she sings, close your eyes. You
Yes, sir.
believe her.
Yes,
Some
sir.
people hear them and they sound like the next person. And I
Mhm.
think that's a spiritual thing. I think you
It,
have to be in a place to understand, like her or don't like her. When Leandria Johnson sings, close your
mm,
eyes.
there
You
you go.
believe her. Yeah, so it's
Mm.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. I love that. A couple of shout outs. People giving you some shouts in the chat here. We got Shantae saying, "Hey, GOAT, greatest of all time,
Man,
Pastor Key."
she's amazing. She's on my my team, my executive team, and just a wonderful person. Bless you. Thank you. I love you.
We got the pretty Brewington, a legend. He's the GOAT, giving you mad love out there, stepping in. We got Yvette C. Lee Music. Let's see, we got Amen. God is always first, stepping in there. And she also popped in before she got to that and said, "Yes, sir, I'm a fan of Pastor John P. Kee." So you got some folks out there giving you some love, man. It's all good. More comments coming in, but we'll get a couple of them in there as we go. Keep on as we go. But it's always nice to see love. When you see it live, people get to respond back and give you love. I always
Yeah.
love that. So, talking about these new artists, you know, when we, in many ways, you're the trailblazer of how a lot of these artists got started. You were one of the first to really blend the modern gospel R&B flavor with the traditional. And, there was a whole new crop of artists that kind of, I won't say they stole your vibe, but they usurped what you had began. They became students of what you were doing.
Right.
And this whole crop of artists was standing on your shoulders. But whose shoulders did you stand on to become the
Wow.
songwriter, singer, and worshiper that you are?
Wow. early earlier on, I was given a Rance Allen, a Bishop Rance Allen. He wasn't a bishop then. Um, Record, and my dad played him. A guy by the name of Nick Allen, one of the most awesome singers in my childhood. I would go to this house and they would play the records back to back to back. And I just always wanted to have that vocal tone. My false stuff that I do, and when I do worship, all of that came from Rance. It came
Rance.
from Rance and a little mini Rippleton, but one of the
Come
other
on, Minnie. Come on, Minnie Rippleton.
yeah,
Don't nobody know
I can
about that. Come on, y'all.
notes. I, man, I can hit these notes. So 1980, 82, 83, I'm at Bailey Cathedral in Detroit, Michigan, and um, I'm on the I'm on a date with him. He's preaching, and I think I was the worshiper for that night. And I walk up in the room and I meet him, and immediately, my father had passed in '81. He kind of took me under his wing and became a godfather to me from that day. So I tried to stand on his shoulders, literally become the next Bishop Rance, if you would. That's who I really. I got accused of being the Winans and
Mm.
Isaac Douglas and so many people. I didn't know them. I was from the country, man. But Rance Allen, I knew, and I still respect to this day.
Mm. And he was a pioneer, man. Pioneer in
Yeah,
so many different ways. And he
yes.
just brought the word right to you. Like there was no sugarcoating. There was no. Yeah,
But people didn't know that. The secular community didn't know that was
that's,
scripture.
that's
They
true. That's
didn't
true.
know. He was. I look at him today. I found an old clip that I hadn't seen him. He's spitting scripture like we didn't.
Scripture like
Really,
crazy.
if you really go back and listen to Colorblind and John
Hmm.
P. Kee this time, some of those old records, man, that's what I learned. Listen to the
Yeah.
lyrical content. I got an award one time from being one who writes amazing lyrics. Man, I thank you for the word.
Come on now. Come on. They don't get it, but we got to help them. We got to help them. Which brings me to the next question, which is perfect. When we look through the scriptures, there's so many instances where the power of music was used in so many different ways, whether it was used to soothe the temper of a king or to prepare a prophet to speak, so on and on and on. Obviously, there's been a power to music. And in your own life, what do you think, or give me a couple of examples of what you've seen the power of music do in your life?
Wow, raise the dead, literally.
Mm,
Um, Speak healing. I have a song called "My Healing Is in His Hands."
mm,
I'm healed in Jesus' name. I sang 2 Sundays ago.
mm,
These songs, I get the testimonies that people played them in the hospitals, and those that were comatose woke up. I mean, so I've seen this music standing in the need of prayer. That was
one of
with
my
a lot.
favorites.
That was really a little girl in the hospital, and I went in and didn't put the mask on and prayed, and God raised her up. She's
Wow.
yet alive. Still goes to my church.
Mm,
Chantel, I love her with my heart. So
mm,
um, I've seen it do work. I saw it last Sunday in another way. Um, Transmission act up on the bus. I had to be in
mm,
Virginia, and I called the men of God, 29 major guys of my security
mm.
detail. They didn't respond. They finally did, but the women of God in the worshipers on the worshipers of the church, they showed up with vehicles to take the cars. They brought my personal cars in, and I'm just
Wow.
and I give credence and credit a lot of times to these songs that touch the hearts of these people
Mm,
before I met him. They
mm,
knew of this John P. Kee guy who was ministering all over the world. And so that matters to me. I'm still grateful for even that little bit of love that was shown last Sunday. Today,
mm,
I'm really trying to figure out how can I shower them back when in
mm,
fact they will probably tell me we were showered first.
mm, mm. So if God gave us this power of music, it's not by accident. There's it's just like the sword of the spirit, the shield of faith, the helmet of preparation. There's all these tools, the armor that we use. The power of music is one of those tools. It wasn't listed in that particular setting, but man, the power of music is so It's part of what God put down here for sure.
Absolutely.
So if we know that music has that kind of power, what can we be doing to heal a hurting world that really needs the hope of Christ right now? How can we use that power music to help that hurting world?
I just got an Emmy nomination a few days ago. Um, Me and a couple artists got together and re-recorded "A Train a Coming,"
Mm,
uh, and Stevie was a part of it. Um, Skip, Martin, just quite a few people, and I think we every now and then we do things or we record things with a purpose. I had Save the Children was a song I did back in the day.
mm,
Um, every now and then, I think we reach. And George Floyd, when he passed, I had a song, and I received an award for that a few weeks ago as well.
mm, mm,
I think music matters, and it works. The name of that song was "Let Me Breathe."
mm, mm,
You have to be in a position to use your gift to
mm.
do more than get Instagram likes,
Sure.
or you have to understand that God didn't just give it to you to lay dormant or for you to be silent. It's like
Mm,
you said. I woke up and decided, okay, God, we had a conversation before the interview when you literally said, you know what, Pastor Key, it did. I wasn't supposed to stop. And
mhm,
I reminded you that rest in the Bible from the Greek word katapos, it literally means for us to hold up,
mm,
slow it down, get some rest, and
mhm,
then go back and do what God's commanded of your hand. So, yeah,
mhm.
music matters, man, and music can really penetrate the soul and bring a message that can blow your mind. I think so.
Oh yeah, and I guess I think about is it the old Superman quote with to whom that what is it the power what is the Superman quote to whom much is no that's the script who much is given much is expected but with great power comes great responsibility. That was the quote I was thinking of. And if the musicians of the world really took that quote to heart and said with great power comes great responsibility, if they really realized how powerful music can be, don't you think we'd change a little bit different? We'd take it a little bit more seriously? What do you think?
I think we would go. I'm not going to say they would change, but I
Mm,
think if they knew that and believed that, they would change the trajectory, if you would, of their call or
mm.
of their music, send it in another direction. Um, that's really interesting. Yeah, yeah. I think it would change their concept, if you would, on
Mm,
not just recording and releasing, but then remember what we said earlier about that prayer life? I would
mm,
commune more with God and ask Him, what would
mhm,
you have me to do with this song or with this opus or with this
mm,
project? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
mhm.
yeah. That's good right there.
Because if you really got it and you said, "Man, this power that God has given me is really enormous responsibility," you wouldn't do it flippantly. You wouldn't just throw it out there just to make it a hit or just throw it out there. You'd be completely different about that responsibility. Um,
Absolutely.
I just think you'd
That
do it
was a
differently.
that was such a that was such a good question. I wrote that one down. I, I'm gonna deal with that after we're done. Yeah.
You'll come back to that one. I got you. I got you. Speaking of helping and helping the world back, I know that your ministry at New Life is all about feeding homeless and feeding less fortunate. I see you doing it all the time. I see, stuff popping up, but you guys are getting together and feeding people, which is
Yes, yes.
such a blessing. Tell me how that came about and how anyone out there listening can participate if they need food or if they want to help serve food. How can they get involved?
Let me tell you, we actually on our website, which will be really popping by noon tomorrow. Uh, Go and sign up just to volunteer. Um, from the conception of this ministry, New Life was not a singing group. New Life started as a feeding ministry. And we would go to a little church, Jerusalem House of God.
Mm,
We would go inside the church and have a little service. I would teach songs and we would sing. Brother Michi from Philadelphia was the musician at the time. And then we
mm,
would go out on the street and feed the people on the
mm,
corner of Trade and Bettisford Road behind the Bojangles. And
mm.
so it's so important that people, yeah, it's so important that people understand that we never ever started out singing. I had a little vocal training. I came out of the North Carolina School of the Arts, so I knew how to sing and how to teach others how to sing. I
Mhm.
studied under Dr. Hashante. So I took those gifts and taught some people off the street how to
Mm.
sing. And that's how the ministry started. So again,
is is
knowing
that how these folks started right here?
that's how those folks started. I see seven.
Get
Yeah, that's
out!
started, man. And
Wow.
God blessed us, man. God opened the door wide. And that should be something that those that are aspiring to do this really
Mm,
take don't take for granted. Grab that nugget and say, Lord, thank you for my ability to sing, but give me purpose, you know?
So you mentioned that the way they can get in touch with you is through your website. What is the website, Jess? Go ahead and give it to them.
Uh, cityofpraise.org. New Life City of Praise. Or come on over. You're in Charlotte. Come on over to the church one Sunday and hang out with us. We're not trying to steal anybody's members. We got enough. I'm trying to give some away myself, you know. But
And if
yeah,
they want to help or participate, it's the same address.
right to that website, you'll be able to help. And when I post on Instagram that we are doing something, come on by and you can really have. We really fed a lot of people yesterday. And again, as I forestated, we're not done. So
Mm,
that's what we do. We have 64 active ministries. I'm sorry, that go outside the four wall structure. So if
mm,
you want to go out, we've got Witness Takeover.
mm,
Shout out to Elder Gerald Rand, who works on Sundays now, but still runs that program and does an amazing job.
mm,
So
mm,
I'm one of the few churches for you might be watching and you're still hustling and trying to get out of the game. We've got an ex-drug dealers class here at the church.
mm.
We'll teach you how to leave that alone and
That's so good.
the
So
proper
good.
way, walking right. You know, so God has just really blessed our ministry. It's unique, it's different, but it's what God has commanded me to do. They tore down my hood and gentrification came in here and built all the new housing. So
Mm,
right now, we're really in transition. I'm not in a hurry. I've been offered millions for my
mm,
property and land I still own here. I didn't sell out. I haven't sold anything yet. So
mm,
we're in a transition position, but I don't want to just go to the suburbs and build a big building and have church. I want to be in a place. I'm looking at the corridor on Wilkerson. I'm looking at West Boulevard. Where can
mm.
I go to really be a blessing? So
I love
we're
it.
up to, yeah.
You wear so many hats, Pastor. When I asked you earlier, how do you balance being Pastor John P. Kee and John P. Kee, the artist? You said it was more like it was you were balancing out the things and prioritizing and getting things together. But it feels like there's two different sides of you that have to be active all the time. And do you prefer one or the other, or do they meld at one point in time?
Honestly, I don't think Pastor goes to sleep in any area. If I'm ministering through the artwork, through the, it's just like he's still a part. So I don't divide. I don't divide him. I don't say there's John and there's Pastor Key. I think he's the same cat. He's the same guy.
Mm,
Uh, I'm amazed. I'll give you this. I'm amazed that when I do go back to the music and I'm tracking, you're normally supposed to practice if you want to stay up on your game.
mm-hmm,
And when
mm-hmm,
and so I don't really practice, but it's lodged in.
mm-hmm,
My ability to hear a chord or hear inside a chord or my
mm,
ability to improvise. I'm blown away. I'm still shocked. I really might not have an answer for the
mm,
question. There was a Muslim brother by the name of Mr. Youssef. I have a song called Finding Mr. Youssef. It's a jazz piece.
ah,
And Mr. Youssef, I wanted to learn what he knew. And I faked it. I put a suit on and pretended to be Muslim and go to the. I'd go over on Saturdays, and he pulled me aside and told me, "You don't have to do that." He said,
Wow.
you. I'll show you what I." And he really spent time with me. So my ability to improvise inside the chord, I get on
Mm.
my tour band's nerves, and I know some of them are watching. Yeah, I get on their nerves because I still hear everything. I
Mm.
know the guitar player misses. I know when the bass player misses. I know or player played the wrong chord on stand and tried to
Wow.
take it to another place. I fired a guy one time because he was determined to change chords on stand. I warned. We were doing a concert. We were doing a concert at the same church. We did 7 concerts in one day in
Mm.
Detroit, and you guys know the church. They have mega services. And I told him, I said, no, do not play that in the transition. It's wrong. First of all, it's not what the rest of the band is playing. He wanted to hear it, evidently. So, hey, whatever he's doing now, I pray you're having a ball. But yeah, I still hear, and it's amazing, man. Even how I got my start, I was doing commercials on TV. I wrote
Mm.
one of the first original Hallmark car commercials just by being at the right place at the right time. So
What?
yeah,
That's
I
a
got there.
story
They
we'll
didn't have,
that's a story we'll dig into. That's a
yeah,
story
yeah,
we'll dig into.
yeah, yeah. So,
And
so
you know, I
now to still have that ear and be able to do it is amazing. It's amazing.
mm, 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 mm. I was going to curtail because I know I was talking about the feeding ministry that you guys have done, and I found out about that ministry on social media. And you're pretty active on your IG page. I'm like, Pastor B. I'm like, how does he have time to get this stuff on there? You be on there a
Right,
lot. When
right.
did you discover the power of social media, and how do you think we can use it for the mission of Christ?
Um, the power of social media has been doomed to hell by some ministries. You know, it's the
Mm,
devil's work. It's where the devil plays, and I pray that at some point we as believers get to the place where we realize the power of the Holy Ghost is stronger than anything that could come my way.
mm, mm,
That being said, I've seen social media really be a help, in getting the word out, to feeding, getting the word out. I'll go on social. I was looking for a drummer last night. I've got an amazing guy that's working with my music ministry, whose last name is Britt,
mhm,
and he's from Virginia. And I'm thinking, I know another Brit somewhere. And I thought about this amazing artist in the 80s, early 90s, from Virginia, named Peggy Britt, Minister Peggy Britt. And her son, who's Boo Britt, is a drummer, amazing in Atlanta. I couldn't think of his name. So I go on social media and just say, look, there's a guy by the last name Britt. He lives in Atlanta. His mom's name is Peggy. Who is he? And I wake up this morning to hundreds of responses. Social media just works for me. After pandemic, during pandemic, I was never the guy that would have ever, and I mean ever, uh, um, allowed my ministry to be videoed and streamed, because I knew I was radical. I knew I was different. I knew I wanted to deal with the hard issues. And then here comes the pandemic, and people don't want to admit this, but it forced us to this new medium, if you would. And here we are. So I applaud it, man. I look for greater things. And I'm super excited about what God has in store through social media.
I think, as you mentioned, you just gotta not be afraid of it. You know, it wasn't like it's the enemy's tool specifically. People telling you, "Oh, the enemy's all over." Well, the enemy's everywhere. So if you're gonna say the enemy's controlling it, he's controlling TV and radio and all kind
Right.
of media. So if you're gonna just hang out social media and say that's his, wrong idea. But if you
Wrong
take
idea.
that tool and think about how many people you can reach from your quote unquote followers. You know, you could put something out on your IG and you can get 60, 70, 80, 1,000 responses in a day, 2,000, 5,000
Right.
responses in a day, and you can affect change quickly with social media. So it's all about using it properly, no?
Using it properly.
I just think I think the church misses out. And now a lot of the newer upscale churches that are, online and on TV, they use it quite a bit. But I hope that especially the African American churches can go back in and really take advantage of this new tool that is accessible and is free. So you think about how free it is. It's free. Come on now, free
That's
is
the part.
good.
Look. That's the part I don't think they've gotten yet. Because once they know it's free or reminded that it's free, maybe they'll act right.
I mean, if you think about it, how many times do you watch a commercial or these brands that say, download our app or get on our mailing list because that's how they get you now. That's how you can communicate to thousands of people in a text.
Absolutely.
You know, help me out. I'm trying to help them out, Pastor. I'm trying to help them out.
Help them. Help them.
Now, most of us will believe that every time, you know, we accomplish something on earth with our own hands, that it does affect leave a legacy. Like the more harder you work, the more you do with your own hands, you leave a legacy. But scripturally, and as we look at how life has really happened, your legacy comes through your kids. Your legacy comes through what God gave you, and you have how many kids? 9.
I have 9 babies. Yeah.
Oh my lord, brother! You need. I hope you stop making them. That's a lot of babies.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I thought about it. I thought about having another one today.
you, Jesus is Lord. I'm gonna leave that alone. So, with 9 kids, What are your children doing to fulfill the legacy of John P. Kee?
The truth or the
Look.
true answer to me, they could care less. They could care less. At the end of the day, I think they were raised to create their own legacy,
Mm.
and four of them have awesome vocals. Um, One is got his degree and then decided he wanted to be a professional trainer.
All right, Pastor. I think you lost yourself for a second. I'm gonna see if you can come back in your channel. There you go. You're back. Now let's see.
Yeah,
There you go.
I believe.
There you go. See, you left me for a second. I was right there for you.
Yeah, I believe that they all understand what Daddy does and what Daddy has done. But my 3 younger daughters, woke up one day and evidently found some old YouTube videos, and they went crazy for at least 6 months on just listening to Daddy music. And so that area of who I am is celebrated. But they, at the end of the day, like the things I have, I own quite a bit of things that were a part of our family legacy.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I said the other day to my executive team, there's so many things, furniture, coins, pictures. Like, God forbid something would happen to me. These kids don't care a thing about that stuff. And so that part of it kind of blows me away. But I don't know. I just you wonder, and they appreciate me. Come on, I get the love like you would not believe. But I don't think they really, really know.
Mm.
We got 2 Grammys last time, and I was so impressed by that.
Uh-huh.
I sent messages to all my kids, and they didn't give me back conversation. They just sent me a thumbs up.
They just like, oh, it's all good, Dad. Thanks. Now, where are we doing
Yeah,
for dinner?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Two of the boys, two of the boys sing with me and travel with me, and
Okay.
that's good because they get to, and they don't know I know, but they too, they're working on a project secretly. They have no idea. I'm sure. I hope they see the interview. I know, but
Daddy
they're
always
too
knows,
busy.
yeah.
Yeah, Daddy knows, and they've got a wonderful studio set up in their house, and so they do their own thing. But it's amazing. I think in the next year, Kamari, my baby, is 16 now. I'm
Mm.
going to pull him in and let him and see if we can do something together and see how it comes out.
So one of them just came on. Davion, look, I gave you some
Oh, that's
love.
one of my godsons. He's amazing. He's amazing.
And Andy Charles said, "Wonderful work is being done. It's heartening. Stay successful in ministry. Start getting some love out there. Some more folks giving you mad love."
Davon's one of my oldest. He's a good guy too. He's my godson. I love him dearly.
I talked about you, the person, and I didn't really get into the music because I feel like people need to know the humility and the strength and the character of who you are as a person. And I think for me, as I've known you over time, the music is, of course, what God gifted you with to be able to serve Him. But you're a person who serves others from an outpour of who you are and what God put in you. If I had to ask you one thing and say, if you didn't have the gift of music, what would you be doing? What would be your way of pouring? Would you stay a pastor? Would you go into what would be you if you weren't doing music?
If I wasn't doing music and hadn't had to call on my life, I'm sure I would have been a comedian. I'm sure
Did you just say a comedian? I have
I
to
would have
take
been
that
a
down.
comedian. I'm sure. I get that part. I could tomorrow walk on the stage and give you 30 minutes and
Wait, here
have
you
you
go.
rolling. Yeah, just about life. And of course, I would create content before I walked on stage. But yeah, if you go to a John P. Kee concert, you're gonna laugh. Yeah,
Oh, I never knew that, so I'm taking that with me. I definitely gotta
yeah,
do that.
you're gonna get it for real.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Last question, man. We've been on for a good 50 minutes, and I
Yeah,
try to keep it to an hour because I respect my guest time and everybody that's out there watching.
yeah.
This one's an interesting one, but it's a good one to think about. All the success you've amassed, everything you've done, everything you've seen, everything God has shown you, what would you tell your younger self to remember about who you became today? Like, what would be the lesson you tell him? Hey, just do this, be this, and it's going to be okay.
That's a great question, man. I shouldn't have told you to do your homework. I should have
I
let you
told you.
come up with the lame stuff. Um, I would tell my younger me to listen to two people. Of course, my dad and mom influenced me greatly, but my grandmother, who was my baby, taught me, and I know you know this, I've heard this over the years. John P. Kee never goes into a concert venue without paying somebody's bills, paying a mortgage, paying a car. I've paid a house off in Virginia. I've done this my whole career, and I would tell my younger self to just don't be afraid to do that to the highest power, if you
Mm,
will.
mm,
Giving is who I am and what God's instilled in me. Quick story: it was the '80s. I was struggling. I was a young artist. I had a bus full of kids singing all
mm,
over the country. I go to Atlanta, and my bus breaks down. Somebody tells me, "Well, we can't fix your bus, but there's a church
mm,
3 miles away. We'll put you guys in our cars, and you go. And if you all sing at his broadcast, maybe he'll help you." We didn't have
wow.
enough church. We go
Mm,
to the church of a young man, a pastor named, and those that know him, get in touch with us or jump in the comments. It was a Bishop Joseph Price. The only thing
mm,
I can tell you is in Atlanta around 6 or 7 o'clock every Sunday night, he had a broadcast in the '80s and the '90s. I go and sing for him and do end up doing a full concert for him. And he pays to get my bus fixed. And then he calls me to the side and he puts $100 bill in my hand.
mm.
Back then, $100 bill was $2.7 million.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Put the $100 bill in my hand, and he says, "Wherever you go from this day forward, whenever you go to the Lord's church, whenever you walk into God's house, so
Mm,
so into that service." And I've done that from that day on, and I do it now so much better and with ease. I used to be afraid. I was like, "Oh Lord, I got
mm,
to pay my bills," but that changed the game for me.
Mm,
That's when God began to open the doors and love on me. And I can't say like nobody else because I don't know what your degree is, but my
mm,
degree is huge. He has blessed John P. Kee. Hey, Devian. He has blessed
mm,
he has blessed John P. Kee beyond measure.
mm,
And I say that to say this: when you have been commanded or called by him, you gotta pursue purpose like you have no other
mm,
thing to do, man. And so
mm.
Joseph Price changed the game. My grandmother was a giver. She'd feed people when we were young. We didn't know. People walked down the street, she'd invite them in the house and could take a little bit of food and expand it, you know. And so I saw giving uh, in my early years like never before. And I'm just grateful. Let me say this in closing this.
Mm,
I'm
mm,
grateful that it's still a part of my being, who I am, and who I shall continue to be.
mm. And on that, that's the perfect way to close. Your message to yourself was to be a sower. After
Yes,
everything you explained, your message
serial
was simple:
sower, a serial sower.
A consistent sower.
Yeah.
You know, you'll reap what you sow. Scripture said sow. So, man, you just made that super easy, bro.
You know what? I had a friend who was
Mm,
out of town and he was going to his daughter's graduation. And just the fact that he shared it with me, I was so happy.
mm,
He didn't believe it. I went on Apple Pay and
mhm.
I sent him money and told him to eat dinner and breakfast. Would you know who that guy was?
I do know that guy. Yes, Pastor Key just blessed my socks off one day. I don't even know. All I could say was, "No, I don't need that," and he just blessed me like that.
Look, let me say something about that. That's what he said. No, I don't
Uh,
need that. I said, no, I want to send you and the missus, I want y'all to go eat anywhere in the city.
uh,
No, I don't need that. When you tell me no, you don't need it, I multiplied what I was
uh,
going to say.
this is the real deal, y'all. He actually sent us that, and it's just because that's the man he is. He is a sower. But you taught me you sow into good ground too. You sow,
Yeah.
and you sow, and you sow. And if you don't like what's around you, what are you sowing? Because
Whoa.
if your life has got all kind of issues, what are you sowing
Ooh,
around your yard?
I'm writing. I'm writing that down.
I'm just I'm just saying, if you don't like what you're seeing in your yard, what are you sowing? You might
That's
want to
good.
check the seed you're putting down because it might be the wrong seed.
Come on, preacher.
I'm just trying to help you out. I'm talking
Well,
because you told. I'm talking because you taught me. Talking
that's
because you
good.
taught me.
That is good.
Corey F said, "I've seen it and witnessed it firsthand."
Yeah. That's my
That's what.
son.
And my wife just popped up and said, "It was very much appreciated, Pastor. Thank you." That was my wife popping in to say thank you.
Ryan popped in too.
Oh my goodness. So man, it has been a immense blessing just spending time with you as always. You always encourage my spirit. And as I said before in the beginning, you just wanted a realist and you're not fake. You're not trying to put on the profile like you said. This is what you get, man. You're out here giving, you're out
Right.
here serving, you're loving folks because God told you to love them. You're giving of your gift, whether it be music or being pastoral. You
Right.
following your purpose. That's it. And it seems like it's working. And I feel honored to partake in it and be a blessing of it. So,
Big word there, man. Thank you so much for loving me, for being.
oh man, you keep losing yourself over there. There you go. Now you're back. Well, and you lost your sound, but that's okay. Your sound is gone, but we love you anyway. Thank you. And if you got a chance to watch this episode with John P. Kee, if you loved it, do me a favor, do him a favor, share it with a friend because there's a lot of encouragement, a lot of golden nuggets coming from John P. Kee in this space, and he's just such a blessing. And if you enjoy the kind of content you see here, do me a favor, hit me with a subscribe or a like to the channel. This lets me keep this kind of content to you coming as soon as it's available. And always, we want to say we appreciate you. We thank you for being a part of the Beautiful Now family. Have a great evening, guys. Take care. And we will see you next time at the Beautiful Now podcast. Have a great one, guys. Take care.